Okay, let's do
Banned OnlyFans. They are calling it a Western disease that causes society to decay. Now, I think we all saw this coming to anybody who was paying attention. Not only China, but there's all a bunch of other countries that have banned OnlyFans. But their their reason for banning it, they're going to make up any excuse to ban it. But the main reason they are banning it for real is that they aren't making any money from it. It's the same reason that a lot of countries banned TikTok because they weren't making any money from it. That's the reason the US government wanted to shut TikTok down, because they weren't making any money from it. We're talking about TikTok is an app that currently generates billions of dollars, and the US government was getting none of that money, $0 of that money. In fact, do y'all remember when Donald Trump said that TikTok has to be taxed, and that tax money is going straight to the Treasury, the Treasury Department of the U.S. government, and he was informed that that would be quite illegal. So he did the next best thing, and he told TikTok that they had to sell the app to an American buyer, basically. But the same thing is happening with OnlyFans now. OnlyFans is currently generating even more money than TikTok, like billions and billions of dollars. And the US government and the Chinese government, all of these governments are seeing none of that money. So they're trying to shut it down until they get some of that money. It's really messed up because it's basically the government's bullying other companies into giving them like some money. It's really messed up. OnlyFans is currently generating.
So two parts. Let's just start with the first one. Is this about morality or about money?
I think both things can be true, man. One of the things you have to think about in other countries is they don't have access to all these things that we watch on TV. So that would be the morality piece. A lot of things are policed and structured so only certain type of propaganda is displayed on their televisions. So it doesn't necessarily, give them the access and the freedom to express themselves completely how they do here in America. And that's kind of what he says the Western civilization trash TV talk. But at the same time, too, you can be in one of those other countries and they'll have like porn on every other channel. You know what I mean? So again, it's just controlling the media and the masses and what they are allowing and deem to see important or, educational to their demographic in their country. So yeah, both things can be true though.
You've seen a lot of the world, more than some will. In your travels, when it comes to culture, what do you notice, or what have you noticed being in different areas versus being over here? Like, are they more grounded within theirs? Do they have more of a different way of actually honoring the things that they have a respect for versus here? I mean, what do you notice as far as the differences between being overseas and here in the United States?
In a lot of areas, it's kind of like we've been talking about in the conversations is, we may lean towards tradition and the way things were, or culture, things of that nature. But in America, we some people hold on to that, and then some people hold on to being able to evolve, being able to, have the freedom of think, the freedom of speech. Like everybody talks about, the politics and the presidents, and how unhappy they are. The positive or negative comments about the president, just the congressional delegates, different things like that. You don't have those freedoms in other countries. You know what I mean? So then we talk about OnlyFans. Last night we talked about TikTok. We talked about how the diversity, just us on the panel, having so much different experience and kind of narrowing it down to figure out what we want to, who we're talking about versus in other countries. You don't have that diversity and that freedom to talk about it all in totality, or to necessarily be on a platform like yours and open, expressively, and freedom talk good, bad, or indifferent about any topics. Those things are more tailored. They're more scripted to only certain people allowed to be on social media. And then it's a lot of keywords, buzzwords that, like you mentioned, also like on YouTube, that'll flag it. A lot of the governments and stuff, they're monitoring those things and they'll shut those things down. And essentially, what it boils down to is just free flow of information. Here we can talk about, pass on information, try to help each other build, make the community stronger. But you don't necessarily have all those tools and those resources in other countries. A lot of that stuff is monitored and limited so that you can't necessarily build and try to help each one become better versions of themselves, and et cetera. So it's a lot that's, I think in America, they don't realize the freedoms that you have to just do whatever. And then that's also the problem is why you don't necessarily, I won't say have control, but you don't have a lot of structure in certain areas. And it'll be predominantly in our areas, in the minorities, where we seem to be the ones that are glamorized for acting out and going out and choosing these freedoms and just expressing them in ways that might not necessarily be conducive to other people's.
I'm glad you said that because I've watched a number of videos where we have men who consider themselves as passport bros, right? They leave because they want to experience different cultures. They want to see what it's like in areas where the mindset of the adults, they aren't indoctrinated by what we deem over here as toxic behaviors and things of that nature. And a lot of them, when they do these videos and they report back what they find, some people will tell you, they're friendlier over here. They don't dress a certain way. They eat healthier, et cetera, et cetera. But then you have to consider, well, here's the positives that I think are positives, but then here's some negatives that might not be negatives to you, but they're negatives to me, right? And so thinking about them saying, well, we banning OnlyFans because it's toxic to us. Is it toxic to everybody? Is it them practicing their freedom to say, well, this is our culture. This is something that we believe is going to be destructive to our youth. It's going to affect them negatively. And honestly, we can't allow our household to be influenced by this level of promiscuity, because the things that come with it can be very negative on its impact. Is that them saying, well, we're going to be smothering and we're going to just say, look, off with your head if you consume this? Or is it really just them saying this is how we really feel? It's no knock to anybody else who wants to support it, but we see how detrimental it is to the nuclear household. So we just can't have a lot of this influence over here.
I think it's again, all things can be true because we talk a lot about out of sight, out of mind. right? So OnlyFans is putting that stuff to the forefront. So it's no longer out of sight, out of mind. It's making it exclusive to everyone. But the catch 22 is you got to sign up for it. You know what I mean? You have to become, somebody's, Patreon, somebody's necessarily a fan, or you subscribe to their content. It's not like you're just going, it's just popping up on your TV and like it's a commercial for it, or whatever fetish it is, or whatever content that you're deciding to view. But you got to think about it. You're playing in a different world now. You're involving yourself in a world where people are monetizing and making money off of that. And then now you're taking away from the profits of the people that can be making money off of it. And now what are you doing? You're starting your own business. So I'm not monetizing off of something that you can do. You're doing it. So I have no control over that. So you're now taking, if everybody does it in the places where there's a market for it, and you're doing it in the comforts of your own home. Because think about, maybe 5 or 8 years ago, webcams and people paying for that on adult video sites and stuff was a big thing. But now essentially you cut out the middleman, the plug, and you've become your own webcam 1099 employee. You're doing it from the comforts of your home. You got your own equipment, and now you set up your own business and you're monetizing that. And you think about it in a country where they're not necessarily promoting empowerment and enabling people to become better versions of themselves, because the way for you to control people is through dictatorship, and also controlling revenue, controlling jobs. If you don't make a lot of money and you stay in these poverty-stricken environments, then we can control that type of environment, depending on in the area, in the region, in the country. But you can't control people if they're making their own money, not going to your quote unquote, depending on the type of jobs that they have in those places, in those locations. Because in a lot of countries, it's not like America where you have these big businesses and big corporations. They're all small businesses, family-owned businesses. They may be a local deli that's been passed down, throughout 3 generations. It may be a tire shop. You know what I'm saying? It's little small businesses all over the place, with the exception of big tech and stuff like that. And obviously the big car companies and corporations. But so these people, essentially Americans, are teaching the rest of the world how to get up and start your own small business, how to monetize off of things that have been monetized off of you, probably your life, your parents' life, or whomever's life. So it's just different perspectives and ways to look at it. But in order to control it so that you can't make that money and you can't monetize it, we can ban it, limit it. And then now you're still forced to go out and work in, whatever type of environment that they provide in those countries. So, again, social media, it helps people in many facets. It just depends on, how it's used.
I got you. Overall, I think a lot of this stuff from that side to this side, to some degree, there's a level of control. You know what I'm saying? As many freedoms as we have over here, you do still get censored for a lot of stuff. I mean, hell, anybody who spoke on Charlie Kirk after that situation happened, they lost their job. And it's ridiculous because, I mean, you don't have to like the person,
right,
to have an opinion, but because you have an opinion about something, you get demonized for it, or you got to suffer some type of consequence behind just saying, hey, I don't like this, or I don't like that. But that's fine. Nobody is going to agree on everything. And I think that it's a problem when you put that wall up between us and you tell us, well, this is the direction I want you to go. It's like you're trying to funnel everybody into one space while also simultaneously telling me that no, you still have a choice to do and say and move how you want. But let me just nudge and pester you to go over into this direction. Like there's a huge contradictory type of ideology if you really consider you don't want to influence us, but you're still trying to influence us.
Yeah, no matter what, you have to have control, right? Especially in an environment where you've influenced everybody to just live free, do whatever. I mean, you're creating organized chaos. And in the Charlie Kirk example, you got people that's out there. Is they just pick and choose who they're allowing to have certain conversations. You got to pay to play, man. And if you don't got the money and you can't play, then you can't go out there and have those type of conversations. Nobody's sister Candace Owens. She's been getting busy ever since it's happened. You know what I'm saying? It's quite a few people that's out there that's talking and making noise, but again, it's selective, and that's still freedoms, but you might not necessarily have, I guess, all of the ones that you may be looking for. There's more than others, but again, it's organized chaos, it's controlled, and it's a business. It's all about making money. Everything that's happening is generating funds for somebody. If it's too watered down, it's too saturated, people won't know who to go to and who to listen to. You know what I mean? So one of the things and that's what's taken off with social media, is you're going away from the traditional reporting of what's going on out there on the streets. And that's the news, right? And that was always controlled. You had to be structured. You had to say certain things. You couldn't trigger certain people, except when you're out there and they're in those third world countries, or they're filming somebody that's being attacked or bombed, or, situations like that. So they allow them to go out there and quote unquote be journalists. But now with social media, everybody's a journalist, not a journalist, but everybody's reporting on activities that they see, whether local in their communities or, or abroad. So you just